One of the biggest fears when it comes to hiring another technician for your home inspection business is the failure to fill their capacity or to get them doing the amount of work that your business requires or that they might need in order to pay their own bills at home. We hear this all the time at IEB. I am at capacity. I'm turning down business. My market's heating up, different things like that. But I'm not ready to hire somebody because I don't know if I can actually fill their calendar. Well, there's a lot to be said for that. And there's a lot that goes into getting over that fear and understanding that the only thing to do if you're going to grow yourself into a team or if you're going to grow your team in general is to make sure that you are always working on growing your company so that you can bring people into it. That is critical. But that's actually just the starting point for today's discussion. What I really want to talk about is how common it is for hires to not work out and why. And then just a quick thing you can do to tweak your system and have a better output when you're hiring new teammates. So, one thing I want to talk about is the cost of a bad hire. This is critical because if you are spending all of your time and effort and energy and money on doing your best to recruit another technician into your world and then they end up being a bad hire, what we want to say is, oh man, we get rid of them and then that's that. But the reality of what happens is that person is a bad hire for much longer than you are even aware of. Now, if we have the blessing of them being very clearly a bad hire and we let them go quickly, that's fine. That's one thing. But what we see in the industry is that we hold on to our technicians far too long. And then they end up doing damage to our reputation. They might even do some damage to our company financially through the liability that they bring with botched inspections. There's a whole list of problems that could come from having a bad hire. The scary thing is that the cost, the actual tangible cost of a bad hire on average in the industry is for sure more than six figures if you hold on to them for a year. They just the cost of the bad hire. Now, let's get into what we actually see in the coaching world for the residential home inspection industry in North America and Canada. What we typically see is an inspector owner hiring their next technician, whether it's their first time or they're putting together a team. They actually will think like a technician themselves. And so instead of thinking like a business owner, where they bring somebody into a vision driven mission, they go out and they find a technician, they hire the technician if it makes sense to hire them, and then you have a team of technicians working jobs in the market rather than a growing team for business. What this looks like under the hood is poor communication, long training programs that don't actually produce great results, and it can lead to lots and lots of missed growth opportunities when you struggle to communicate well in your market because after all you hired a technician, not a marketer or a salesperson. Is that sounding familiar? I know it sounds familiar for a lot of you because I talk to a lot of you in the industry, thousands of you, in fact. Drop a comment actually, because I want to know, have you struggled with hiring a technician or have you just nailed that and figured out the secret formula? Because if you have, we want to know. So let's share your experience if you've made a bad hire, lessons learned, that kind of thing, or if you have done something really well. We want to know about it. We want to celebrate that with you. Okay, so things that typically go wrong, why your hires don't usually work out. First off, we skip or we compress the interview process itself. We rush the entire thing. Most of the time, it's because we have spent so much time looking for the person that by the time we find somebody we're excited about, we'll just try to quickly get them into our world like we're selling the company to them rather than they are selling themselves to the company. So oftentimes we'll skip or compress the interview process. I don't know what the percentages is are on this, but I know a lot of us don't do reference checks. We preach reference checks here at IEB. We always want to understand the candidate's life trajectory as well. So when you're looking at a resume from somebody, their past work, we don't want to see that they were just kind of stale or going backwards in their professional work, meaning we want to know that they've had some upward trajectory in their life. That often means they've stayed at one place long enough to maybe get a promotion or to earn more money over time or to develop new skills. Sometimes it could mean that they went to a new job, but their job was not lateral moves every 6 months or 2 years. It was actually a step up. That's what we mean by trajectory. Not saying that you couldn't hire somebody in those other categories, but you'll have a much better hire if you find somebody who has proven trajectory. All right. So a lot of times we rush that process, but then when they come into our world, we're also kind of haphazardly training them. We put together our best creative process for training. And then at the end of the day, we are upset with the quality of work they put out. Or maybe we're actually looking at them going, well, they do better work than me, but they're not doing it the way we do it here at my business. That's actually really common too. So the best case scenario that we see is that they come in and they're a great technician, but they've got big gaps in their ability to communicate, to complete reports, or to consistently show up over and over again. That's what typically happens when you have a bad hire in our industry. Here's the thing. That's basically just lack of a system. Like anything else in your business, if you don't have a system in place that you're actually following step by step, then that means you can't improve it. And for a lot of us, the name of the game isn't perfection, it's improvement. So put a system in place, use it, follow it so that you can improve every step along the way. And so if all of those things, rushing your interview process, hiring out of excitement or desperation instead of making good business decisions like a financially responsible company does. And then on the training side of things, we just kind of haphazardly train them and hope for good results. If those are the problems, the solution is going to be the system. Here's the system. The whole thing from A to Z is recruit, select, train, manage, and keep them motivated. Now, I'm not a big fan of the word motivation, but that's the actual framework we teach. The word motivation is kind of lost its meaning in recent times. But what we mean when we say motivation is we want to keep them pointed toward the vision, keep them oriented toward something bigger than themselves, help you build something that matters in your market, and then they benefit and win because of it. So, recruit, select, train, manage, motivate. Let's briefly go through each of these, and we'll be dropping more and more content like this too. So, make sure to not only drop comments and let us know what you're taking away from these videos, but make sure to keep coming back because we're going to be talking about all these things and unpacking them. So, the first thing that you've got to do is understand that recruiting is something that you're doing all the time. It is just like sales, never stop. Always keep your eyes open for high talent people or people who could connect you with high talent people. So, for example, if you want to find a rock star technician, you might start making friends with the other business owners in your market and understanding who they're seeing, where they're getting people, and what the opportunities are to maybe collaborate in this space, not just as home inspection companies, but any small business networking opportunity that you have in your market. So connecting with people who can connect you with people is a really great step. Next, we want to make sure that we have all of our job profile, the vision and the mission of the company, our compensation structure, all of that dialed in before we start firing from the hip, recruiting people, and then they ask questions and we don't have answers. All of those things need to be put in place before you recruit. Now, the selection process is what you're actually doing when you're interviewing people. When you interview people, you don't want to just pitch your company to them like you're the one who's being in the salesman seat. It's actually them selling to you. You're pitching the vision. And then they're pitching to you why they're a good fit for that vision. Don't forget that. And so it's important for you to be able to articulate what you're building, not just how much you'll pay for the work. Critical. Okay. Also, in the interview process, you want to truly get to know them and who they are as a human, not just a technician. Lots and lots and lots to say on that, but I'm keeping it brief for now. Now, as you get through recruiting and then selection, you make your hire, you bring them into your world, then of course it's training. I've seen training programs everywhere from 4 weeks to years long, and there is not any one standardized way to do this. But I think the best performing companies that I know do it in something like 8 or so weeks. They can get a technician from coming into the company to producing revenue and mostly on their own in about that time frame. And that's pretty intense training. But either way, whatever your time frame is, The idea is that they need to be going through a written, defined, documented system that gives good feedback loops, that has regular interaction with you as the trainer or your trainer if you're a bigger team, and that they are not just expected to check boxes, but they're expected to prove proficiency. That's critical. Okay. They need to earn autonomy in your company. They're not just given it. And then finally, the managing and motivating piece. I'll kind of put those together. Managing is what we refer to when we're talking about just do your job, right? Just do the things we expect you to do. And I'm going to provide all the tools and resources and knowledge that you need to do it. And then your job is to come and bring all of your expertise. And together, we're going to manage this project really, really well. In this case, you'll do home inspections, I'll run the business, or maybe I'm doing home inspections as well. But managing is sort of saying we're going to make sure the wheels keep turning and they're going to do it in as efficient a way as possible. Motivating is going to be more in the leadership capacity where you're making things better. You're not just managing what's already there, but you're making things better for you as a business owner, for the company, and for them. Both of those things need to be in place. Both of those are different sets of systems. To manage things, you need to have great inspection flow, great communication in your company, all of your tools squared away, how you take care of your people, all of the things that go into caring for and expecting high output from your technicians. Leading means you're steps ahead or maybe chapters ahead of all the people in your business saying, this is where we're headed, follow me. So that is a different set of skills. For example, every once in a while, having a quarterly meeting with your team and presenting the vision, making sure people are inspired and pointed that direction. Okay. So this is a hot topic in our industry, especially because a lot of the industry is still on a 1099 model, contractor model. And so you don't legally have a lot of control over how people show up, but we know how it really works. At the end of the day, you control a lot of what technicians do under your brand. And so you've got to have great systems in place, whether you're W 2, 1099, hourly, or whatever. And that is to recruit, select, train, manage, motivate, and not just fire from the hip. If you get those things in place, you will have a better, more scalable, refined business just for having done that work. Of course, if there's anything we can do to help you put those systems in place, that's what we're here for. That's what we eat, sleep, live, and breathe is proven systems and models that help you grow, scale, and refine your inspection business. Reach out to us at support@iebcoaching.com if we can do anything for us, if we can do anything for you, or jump onto the website and just sign up for a consultation or jump into membership if you're ready for that. See you next time.